AITA for refusing to sell the family cabin or buy out my siblings unless they agree to my terms. My mom passed away about 6 months ago. My father passed away a couple years before that. After my dad died, I, 39M, put in a lot of time and effort helping my mom. My 2 younger siblings, 35F and 32M, did not do much of anything to help after my dad's funeral. They are both married and each have 2 kids. I am single and have no kids. So I had the time to help my mom, and I'm grateful for the time that allowed me to have with her. My parents owned a cabin on a lake that was built by my dad's father decades ago. My dad and I spent a few years doing a bunch of renovations about a decade before he died. We tore a lot of it down to the studs and rebuilt it. My parents had to refinance their mortgage to do the work. Before my mom died, she expressed her desire to leave the cabin to myself and my siblings. Split 3 ways. I told her that could cause some issues and be complicated financially. But the cabin was their largest asset and she wanted it to be split amongst the 3 of us. At first, my siblings were happy about the cabin being split between us. Then, they realized that my parents still had a mortgage on the property after my mom died. And that property taxes on lake property are incredibly expensive, since all 3 of our names were put on the title and mortgage. We are all legally liable for the mortgage and taxes. And to put it simply, neither of my siblings are in a position to afford it. Nor did my mom have enough money left to pay off the mortgage in a lump sum. My siblings have been pressuring me to sell the property. I straight up refused because I literally have blood, sweat, and tears in that place. They then suggested that I buy them out of their share so they aren't responsible financially. I was open to the idea until they both said that they want to continue to bring their families. They're like they always have. I told them that if I buy them out, the cabin is mine, not ours. I told them if they want to bring their families there that they will need to clear it with me first. I told them I would install a security system and change the locks as soon as the paperwork is signed. I told them I would probably use it as a rental property and that they couldn't just use it whenever they want. They both got upset and told me I was being selfish and unreasonable. We all have great memories of the cabin as kids and they want their kids to grow up building the same memories. I told them as long as they clear it with me first, they can use it. But it isn't going to be like it was when my parents owned it and they just showed up whenever they wanted. They both basically gave the similar versions of, "Won't you think of your nieces and nephews? You're depriving them of amazing memories that we all had together." They think I'm being petty and selfish. Maybe I am. But it's not my fault they can't afford it. I miss my mom, but I wish I could tell her, "Told you so." NTA. You aren't saying that they can never use the cabin. You're saying that if you buy them out, then they need to respect the fact that it's your property and they can't use it freely any longer. Especially if you plan on using it for a rental property. That's not an unreasonable ask. Besides, if you all put it on the market and sold it to a stranger, they literally would not have any access to the property. So why all the drama from their end of things? They really aren't looking at this logically. They don't want to bear the costs of the property, taxes, maintenance, mortgage. They want the cash they could receive from selling it. But if you're the one to purchase their shares, they still want free access and to act as if it is still family property? Nah, that doesn't track at all. Talk about having a cake, eating it, and still trying to keep it all at the same time. Sheesh. And so you don't have another gotcha moment with your siblings. If you purchase the cabin and choose to make it a rental, make them rent it from you for some sort of nominal fee. If you allow them to use it, with notice, I guarantee they, or their kids as they get older, will absolutely trash the place when they are in use of it, leaving you holding the bag. Don't tell them about needing to rent the cabin from you until it's a done deal though. NTA. Your siblings can't afford to keep their shares, so they have to sell them. Regardless of who owns the cabin afterwards. Whether you or a complete stranger. Your siblings will not have any rights to the cabin anymore. That's how sales work. You sell something. You get the money for it. And the item no longer belongs to you. It's a pretty simple concept. I don't know if they're really this obtuse. Or if they're just trying to guilt you into taking all the financial responsibility and letting them enjoy the benefits. You're being more than generous by offering them the use of the cabin if they just clear it with you first. I don't think I'd be so generous to entitled people. They can't have it both ways. Either they partly own it and have to pay, but in return have access. Or they don't have to pay but don't have access. NTA. NTA. Of course they should clear it with you since you'll own the house. A couple questions though. 1. Are you buying them out at a fair market price? If yes, percent your house. Your rules. 2. Would you charge them when they stay? If no, I don't understand why they'd object. If yes, I can understand their frustration. But your rules are still fair. We have a similar property in our family for generations with lots of childhood memories. Only one person owns it, but there's always been an understanding any direct relatives can use it as long as they coordinate schedules with the owner, who is usually there too. They wouldn't dream of charging us. NTA. They both got upset and told me I was being selfish and unreasonable. We all have great memories of the cabin as kids and they want their kids to grow up building the same memories. But they wanted you to sell it. How does that work out? They want things to continue as they have been. You do all the work, and they reap the rewards. NTA. They want the use of the beach house but not the responsibility of ownership. NTA. They want to have their cake and eat it too. Sell it to you and get the money, but then still use it as if it's still theirs. If they sold it on the open market, they wouldn't still get to use it. So why do they think they still get to use it whenever they want once it's yours? Maybe approach this as, I can't comfortably afford to pay it off either if we just keep it for personal use. But if I rent it out, I can recoup some of the expenses. But I'm not opposed to letting you use it if you clear it with me first. So I do absolutely want to give your families a chance to enjoy it. I don't understand why they would balk at just getting it cleared by you first. Obviously it makes sense you'd need to rent it out sometimes. And they can't just show up if someone is renting it already that week. You're just asking them to make sure it's free on a week they want to use it. That's for their benefit. I mean, do they expect to just show up and kick out whoever's there already paying for it? That's crazy. Hold firm. They want their money. They'll give in eventually. Don't agree to sell it to anyone else until they accept your very reasonable terms. They'll either have to bleed money every year for taxes or take your offer. Edit. Typo. NTA. If you bought out the siblings, it would be your cabin and your terms probably could have saved yourself some trouble by telling them after the purchase. Hindsight is 20/20 though. NTA. And your siblings need to be paying their share of the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance until they sell their share of the property. NTA. Why would they think that's okay to not make any payments but use it like they were? It would be so smart for you to rent it out. Just use it when it's not rented and the rent will likely pay your bills. They both got upset and told me I was being selfish and unreasonable. They want continued use of the cabin after you purchase each of their shares in said cabin. They are the ones being selfish and unreasonable. NTA. INTA. So they want to keep the privileges and ownership, without the financial hassle? The entitlement. In TA, if you own it, it's yours, not community property. Your terms are entirely reasonable. So basically it's like they want to sell their car, but still be able to drive it whenever they want. The entitlement they want has a price tag. Mortgage, maintenance and property taxes divided by 3. SMH. YWNBTA. NTA. You've got reason to want to hang on to the cabin, and they are unable to afford the finances of owning it. From what info you've provided, you've offered some reasonable allowances for them to still have access to the place. I have been in this exact situation. My dad and uncle owned a family property. It would have gotten messy passing down to cousins. So my dad fair market sold his half to my cousin. She has the means, uses it, and has put significant labor into it. If I want to use it, I ask first and pay her. NTA, you are doing nothing wrong. NTA, it sucks, but they can't have everything. NTA, you're being generous to take on the full financial burden and let them have conditional use. Renting it out for vacationers is a great way to recoup the expenses, and could be done by the 3 just as easily as by yourself. NTA, they want no financial responsibility but still want to be able to use the property. If you had agreed to sell it, none of you would have had access whenever you wanted. If they cared so much about their kids enjoying the cabin, they would figure out how to afford their third. Buy them out. Change the locks.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.